This is my review of WWE FastLane 2015. And tonight's show, while it wasn't that hyped going into the show, it didn't turn out as bad as what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was just going to be a glorified, throwaway pay-per-view, which to a degree you probably can argue it was, but at least we did get a great main event with Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan. Now, I know there's going to be some people bitching about the outcome since Daniel Bryan didn't win, but Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns had a hell of a match. Hopefully, with Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania, we get maybe him and Dolph Ziggler against each other. Even though the way they've been booking Dolph Ziggler recently, I don't know if that would be the best route to go, unless they really do something to make Dolph Ziggler seem like something once again in these next 5 weeks. But either I guess we'll get Daniel Bryan and Dolph Ziggler at WrestleMania, or probably the other route they could go, which is every time I'm seeing these Sheamus video packages, just seems like that might be the other route they would go with Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania. So you saw that hell of a main event with Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan. Definitely a great way to end the show there. And then the other match that was noteworthy on this show that I really enjoyed was the tag team title match with Tyson Kidd and Cesaro taking on the Usos, which actually Kidd and Cesaro won the tag team titles. That was a hell of a tag team encounter there tonight. So those two matches really didn't make this a great show, but at least saved it from being a terrible show. Overall, it probably was just an average show, though, because a lot of the other stuff on the undercard wasn't that good. But they did use the show tonight to build to WrestleMania, which is what this show should always be. I mean, other years we've pretty much been spoiled when WWE has given us, a great Elimination Chamber pay-per-views, but sometimes that took away from WrestleMania. At least now you got a pay-per-view that, while it is more or less now just kind of a throwaway pay-per-view and just an afterthought for WWE, it at least builds up to WrestleMania, and that's what they did on here, because they obviously did a lot of things on this show to build up to WrestleMania, and a number of matches are pretty much either official or almost pretty much official. But the first match on the show was a six-man tag. This was something I don't think anyone cared about seeing. This was Dolph Ziggler, Erick, Rowan, and Ryback versus Big Show, Kane, and Seth Rollins. Now, the one thing that could have possibly saved this, at least made it a good opener, was if you would have had Dolph Ziggler and Rollins in there more. You didn't do that. It was just a very, slow pace, and, it dragged on and on. This just screamed, a SmackDown TV main event as an opener for a pay-per-view, and it just wasn't good. Got way too much time, and the ending came when Big Show hit the KO punch to Dolph Ziggler. Kane pins him. Kane gets the pinfall victory for his side. And then really the thing that at least made this match happen on the pay-per-view at least make some sense is what happened post-match. You had the heels beating on the baby faces, and then Orton's music hits. Orton comes out there. He hits a couple of RKOs, hits him on J&J Security, then hits him on Kane. He tries to do the DDT to Seth Rollins from the middle rope into the ring. Big Show saves him. Seth Rollins runs off. So obviously we're getting Seth Rollins and Randy Orton at WrestleMania, which that could be really good. I think them two could have a really, really good match at WrestleMania. As far as six-man, not a good opener. Definitely not a good way to start it off. At least you did get the return of Randy Orton, which everyone knew was going to happen on this pay-per-view, so it was predictable him coming out. But at least you did get something there to at least make the six-man somewhat not completely meaningless, and at least some reason to be on the show. Even though if it was me, I would have had Dolph Ziggler and Seth Rollins as a singles match, and then just did the other four competitors, Kane and Big Show versus Rowan and Ryback is probably a pre-show match. That's probably what they could have done. That would have worked a little better, but you got the Orton return here. The crowd was hot for that. That really got the crowd finally into the show, because the crowd was not into the opener at all. Opener, I give about 1.5 stars. Not anything good at all. Then the next matchup was Stardust versus Goldust. Now, a lot of people, this match has kind of gotten mixed reactions so far. I've seen some people that liked it and a lot of people that did not like it. I'm in the camp that I actually thought this was a pretty solid match. It wasn't great. great, but I thought they told a really good story. They did a good job of, because they're brothers, they pretty much know what the other's going to do before they actually do it, so they did a lot of counters and stuff like that. So I thought it told a good story, good in-ring psychology. As far as the match quality, it was solid. It wasn't great. And you have Goldust picking up the win here with a roll-up, rolling up Stardust. The referee fucked up the finish, didn't count the 3 like he should have, so that kind of took away from it a bit. But in the same sense, it did leave the door open for them to have another match, which then backstage you saw Goldust and Stardust. Stardust attacks Goldust. Dusty Rhodes is there, and Cody's saying, he's no longer Cody. Stardust cuts a really good promo against Dusty. So obviously we're going to be seeing Goldust and Stardust at WrestleMania against each other, which has been something that Dusty and I think has been lobbying for a couple of years to do, have his sons take on each other at WrestleMania. So it looks like this year we would get it. And from what we saw tonight with them, I think it'll at least be a solid match at Mania, but it won't be anything great. As far as their match tonight, I probably give about 2.5 stars. I thought it was a solid match, but nothing great. Probably exactly what we would see at WrestleMania. They might have a little better match at Mania, though. The next matchup was the match, second best match of the night. The Usos versus Tyson Kidd and Cesaro for the WWE Tag Team titles. This was a great tag team match here. I love this. The Usos were great in here. Cesaro and Kidd as well. Cesaro and Tyson Kidd work really well as a tag team, and I'm glad they're actually finally starting to do something with them two, because Cesaro and Tyson Kidd are definitely probably the 2 most underutilized talents within WWE. So at least now they're a tag team, and now they're finally actually starting to be used, and we're seeing a really good tag team feud developing with the Usos versus Cesaro and Kidd. Really fast-paced match, good back-and-forth action, really enjoyed it. Cesaro and Tyson Kidd pick up the win, and they are the new tag team champions. Hell of a tag team match, 3.5 stars. Definitely something I would recommend people to go out their way to see, and looks like we might get, obviously with the title change, probably a rematch at WrestleMania. Hopefully it just sticks to being the Usos versus Cesaro and Kidd, and they don't add like 1 or 2 jobber tag teams and make it like a 4-way tag match at Mania. Hopefully it just stays, if they do a rematch at Mania for the tag team titles, just have it be Cesaro and Kidd versus the Usos. And this is a program that could go on for several months, and I think can give us a lot of good matches, and it won't be like the previous tag team feuds that we've been seeing with the Usos versus Miz and Mizdow, where it just dragged on, and you weren't given anything that good. Hopefully this time you'll at least get a good tag team feud out of this. Then after this was the face-to-face with Sting and Triple H, the face-to-face encounter in the ring. This, while it was cool to see Sting out there, this, it wasn't like, if this was Sting and Undertaker, it would have been like, oh my God, this was an awesome fucking segment. Sting and Triple H, what it was is Triple H basically, talking back and forth, saying stuff against Sting, saying that, he's one of the stars that was, the reason why WCW went out of business, stuff like that, and other things like that. Sting never talked, which I did think that was the good way to book here, that Sting did not talk. Triple H then, then you saw them battling the ring back and forth with punches. Triple H then tries to go outside, get the equalizer to a sledgehammer, and then Sting stops him with the bat, and then Sting's pointing up at the WrestleMania 31 sign, or now just the WrestleMania sign, pointing up to that, basically signifying that he wants a match with Triple H. Later on in the night, it gets official that they do make Sting and Triple H an official match at WrestleMania, which I don't think it will be a bad match. I think Sting and Triple H can have a good match with each other, but it just doesn't scream dream match. Like when Sting is in his first WWE match, I think you had to have him in a dream match, and him and Triple H just does not, say that phrase dream match. I think they should have, considering you don't know if you're gonna have them even next year for WrestleMania, you should have pulled the trigger and had Undertaker and Sting this year at WrestleMania. I mean, I think almost everyone will agree with that. Then the next matchup was Paige versus Nikki Bella for the Divas title. This was just your typical Divas match, nothing too special, which is an unfortunate thing because I'm a huge fan of Paige, and ever since she's joined the main roster after leaving NXT, other than maybe a few good matches with Natalia and maybe a match or two with Naomi, you haven't really seen Paige shown to be that great women's wrestler that she is, and this just was just your typical Divas match, nothing too special, and showcasing that WWE needs to bring up some of their women in developmental, or just have some of their women on the main roster go out there and have good matches. This just wasn't anything good at all. Nikki Bella retains the title, holding the trunks, and wins and retains that way. Pretty much a dud, 1 star at best. Then the next matchup was Dean Ambrose versus Wade Barrett for the IC title. Now, this match was something that, even though I like both of them, I'm a huge fan of Dean Ambrose. I like Wade Barrett as well. I wasn't looking forward to this match at all. And then they had this segment on the pre-show of the pay-per-view with Dean Ambrose and Renee Young, an interview segment, and I thought they did a really good job of getting you interested into this match and trying to do something with the IC title. Then just when the match happened, it wasn't anything at all. And now, while they probably held back here and we probably will get a better match from them, I don't think we'll get anything great from them. So it looks like we'll probably be seeing these two in a match at WrestleMania for the IC title, which I don't know what to think with it, because just like right here, I didn't see anything that, even though they probably held back a bit, I didn't see anything that showed the potential that they could have a great match. The match ends when Dean Ambrose pretty much snaps. The referee DQs him, so Wade Barrett retains the title here, the IC title here, via disqualification. So obviously we'll be seeing them two at WrestleMania against each other. Then after this, you saw Undertaker's music hit. You saw heard the gongs and all that, and then you saw the Druids come out there, and you saw this casket. Then it got to the ring. Obviously, everyone pretty much knew what this was going to be. Once they popped open the casket, it was Bray Wyatt inside. He cut a pretty awesome promo against Undertaker. Pretty much calling the Undertaker out. That's what he did on this pay-per-view, and I think this idea of Bray Wyatt and Undertaker at WrestleMania does intrigue me a bit. I don't know if it's something that will be great, but it could be something that could help and elevate Bray Wyatt's career, especially since Undertaker's already lost at WrestleMania last year. It's not going to hurt Undertaker if he loses again. This could be, a victory that really elevates Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania if he picks up the win at WrestleMania, which is the route they should go. It could be at least something to make a star, which I know is something Undertaker will not have any problem doing, is making a star for the future. And that's probably what we should get at WrestleMania when we do get that match. Then the next matchup was Rusev versus John Cena for the U.S. title. Now, this was an okay match. It was pretty much the type of match you would expect with these two. I did kind of like the little bit of an old school feel to the match they did have with each other, and it was just pretty much back, two big Goliaths against each other, two strong powerhouses taking on each other and just proving who's the stronger of the two. That's kind of the way it was booked. And Rusev does pick up the win here, and I thought they did do the way he won. I thought was a smart, logical booking way to have him win, which was you had Lana distract the ref at one point. He kicks John Cena in the dick, and then Rusev gets him into the accolade. Cena is pretty much passed out, and Rusev picks up the win. So it was a way that we could at least get what we wanted, which was Rusev winning against John Cena. But obviously, we know the writing's on the wall. What's going to happen next? We know that since they did the villain getting the cheap win here against John Cena, we know it's probably going to be them two against each other again at WrestleMania, and that's probably where, unfortunately, John Cena will most likely, end the undefeated streak of Rusev. But as far as the match, I'll probably give it, 2 and 3, 4 stars, maybe even 3 stars, because it was a solid match. It just wasn't anything great, though. Then the next matchup was the main event. This was Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan. The winner of this takes on Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania for the WWE title. And this was a hell of a main event. Now, I know there's a lot of people that are huge Daniel Bryan fans, and I'm a huge Daniel Bryan fan, but but unlike a lot of other Daniel Bryan fans, I knew going into this that Daniel Bryan was not going to win. Anyone that thought he was going to win is a fucking retard. Everyone knew that Roman Reigns was going to win here, and WWE was going to stick to what they originally had planned for WrestleMania, which was Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, which they are sticking to. I know some people thought they weren't going to stick to it, and they might add, Daniel Bryan into it and do a triple threat, maybe the match tonight. Originally, instead of having, the clean victory for one of the two, some people probably thought it might have ended, with some bit of controversy, and then that would lead to, a triple threat, but that didn't happen. Roman Reigns picked up the win here in a really, really good main event, something I would recommend everyone to go out their way to see. Just a hell of a match, great back and forth action. Daniel Bryan, kicking the living shit out of Roman Reigns in this match. Roman Reigns did really good in here. Daniel Bryan put on probably one of the best matches Roman Reigns will have in his career, and this is the type of match that you want it to have Roman Reigns have before WrestleMania. Prove that, he's ready in the ring. Prove that he can go out there and, stand out there in the main event. And I think they did do that tonight. While people won't agree with the decision of Roman Reigns winning tonight, I know there's a lot of people that are going to have a problem with it. I actually didn't have a problem with it. Now, as far as the WrestleMania match, which one would have been better? Daniel Bryan versus Lesnar or Roman Reigns and Lesnar? Obviously, I'm going to say Lesnar and Daniel Bryan could have been a classic match. Now, Roman Reigns and Lesnar, while I don't think it's going to be a terrible match, it's not going to be the classic that Daniel Bryan and Lesnar could have been, but still it's going to be fairly good. And since the way they were hesitant, and at least in the sense of trying to, I guess, placate the fans on this pay-per-view with Daniel Bryan and the false hope of him possibly having a chance of being in the match, I don't know if they are quite ready ready to put the title on Roman Reigns. At least WWE doesn't signify that they're ready for that. I guess we'll find out at WrestleMania. But as far as the main event, it was a hell of a main event. Really enjoyed it. 4 and 1/4 stars. Really enjoyed it. And with this show overall, like a lot of the stuff on the undercard was not the greatest, but you did have a hell of a main event, and you had a great tag team match on this pay-per-view. So I would say with those things, and they did do a good, solid job of building to WrestleMania on this pay-per-view. I would say overall, I would probably give the show about a 7.25 out of 10. Definitely a little better than what I was expecting it to be, but it wasn't a great show. A lot of people would still classify it as more or less a throwaway pay-per-view, but I would say it's a two-match show. That's pretty much what it was. And the two matches you need to see are the main event and the tag team title match. Yeah, that's it for my WWE FastLane 2015 review. All right, peace.